Democrats and the mainstream media, they're still kind of in shock that Donald Trump is actually in the White House. They're still trying to analyze their failed attempt in 2024 of putting Kamala Harris in place of Joe Biden. It's pretty obvious to us why Kamala Harris failed miserably. Not so much yet for the Democrats and the mainstream media. They're still scratching their heads as if they don't quite understand it. It was a clear message as they continue their post-mortem, if you will. There's literally some absolute gold material coming out of the Democrat Party's post-election meltdown. And when I say meltdown, it is a full-blown meltdown. Over the weekend, Jen Psaki, the former White House, Joe Biden's White House press secretary, she's now on MSNBC, she came out and slammed Kamala Harris. They're starting to eat their own now, okay? She slammed Kamala Harris for the way she ended her disastrous presidential campaign. What's Jen Psaki's biggest complaint? That Harris campaigned alongside Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney, of course, was once a Republican, or at least she said she was. She was obsessed with the January 6th sham, the sham committee that she served on. She thought that she could be a queen maker and anoint Kamala Harris. Now, this is the same Liz Cheney who lost her own congressional seat in a historic loss. She wasn't even close. That didn't quite give her the message that she was out of tune with the American people. Psaki told Jon Steward, who, by the way, has finally started admitting that his party is completely out of touch. It's finally occurred to Jon Steward, maybe he's on the wrong side of the track here. Psaki told Jon Steward that Harris and the Democrats were using elite academic language that didn't connect with real Americans. She admitted that they were speaking from an ivory tower, lecturing people, pushing a message that voters just didn't care about. In cut number 8, Jen Psaki kind of explains her analysis of why the Democrats lost so badly in November.
I also think Liz Cheney is very heroic.
Wait, what? Where did that come from?
Here we are. Here
What
we are. But I don't think closing the campaign with a message about fighting democracy with a former Republican member of Congress was the right strategy.
You think? You think having someone like Liz Cheney? I mean, think about that for a minute, all right? So the Republican Party, we had already booted Liz Cheney out. She lost her congressional seat. The Democrats didn't like her to begin with. So why did they think that Liz Cheney could help Kamala Harris? Jen Psaki's right on this one. And this has to be painful for the Democrats. And look, I hope that they don't get it. I hope that they continue to just double down and try to convince themselves that they're still on the right track, that they just need to continue what Joe Biden had started and Kamala Harris. Liz Cheney, the so-called savior of democracy, according to liberal media, was accused of witness tampering, you may recall, by House Republicans. And Joe Biden, on his way out, gave her a pardon, gave her a preemptive pardon, just so, in Biden's words, so in case Donald Trump wanted to go after her. Now, here's the big takeaway, I guess. Democrats lost because they became the party of the swamp. They are the real swamp. Democrats lost because they are so out of tune with America, and they're still out of tune. They still hadn't quite admitted why they failed so miserably. The American people are tired of the same-o, same-o. And that's why there's so much excitement and so much hope in the air. because we're seeing Elon Musk and so many others in the Trump administration doing things differently, actually canceling contracts, $1 million contracts for things that are just absurd anyway, saying that, hey, we can start with closing down the CBP app, for example, which now means that those illegals aren't making an appointment to get into our country free of charge, and it's causing these centers like San Diego to close because there's no business. By the way, that center in San Diego, they received $22 million last year to operate from FEMA money that was supposed to be for natural disasters, supposed to be going to people, helping people like near my home of South Carolina, up in western North Carolina. I shared with you some of the comments that Jen Psaki and Jon Steward were talking about because they're still trying to figure out what happened on November the 5th. They're still in shock. They just can't believe. They're sitting back every day and they're watching this Donald Trump and Elon Musk and the whole Trump 2.0 operate at a breakneck speed. And they haven't had time to process this. And Psaki, of course, blaming Kamala Harris for just making some stupid choices, like having Liz Cheney out on the campaign trail with her, and other things. I would say that the reason Kamala Harris failed so miserably is because she's Kamala Harris. You can't blame it on somebody else. There's not one single thing that caused Kamala Harris to lose. The fact that Kamala Harris just isn't a good politician. She's just not she's not a good speaker. And evidence of this, we all joked a lot about her word salads. She was famous for speaking for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes and not saying anything. Here's another example of Kamala Harris. She was trying to inspire some Broadway actors, and this is what came out.
When we think about like these moments where we see things that are being taken, but also let's see it as nature abhors a vacuum. So where there's a vacancy, then let's fill it, right? And let's know that the reality is that the progress of our nation has always been about the expansion of rights, not the restriction of rights. Mm-hmm. We're seeing a U-turn right now for those rights to be maintained, which means we have to be vigilant, and it's just the nature of it. Look at this beautiful play and everything that we know he had to suppress so much. But he knew, and he took those risks. But we have to be clear-eyed. And it doesn't mean we don't see the beauty in everything, right? These things all coexist. But I believe we fight for something, not against something. Right? And that's our optimism, right?
Now, for those of you watching on the Salem News Channel, and you're seeing this group of people on this Broadway stage, obviously in the Broadway theater there, you see them just kind of, They don't quite know what she's saying either. It's kind of like we all need an interpreter. If you understood what Kamala Harris just said, if you're a Democrat interpreter or Kamala Harris interpreter, I'm going to put you to the front of the line. Call 800-655-MIKE, 800-655-6453. And Teresa, I want to talk to them because I want to know what she said. Talk about a word salad. That's why Kamala Harris lost. Now, yes, some of the other dumb decisions that they made, like having various people play such a major role in the campaign, that had something to do with it too. But the American people saw right through Kamala Harris. The American people see her for what she is. People who are close to her, they probably like her. She's probably a nice lady. I don't know. Never met her. Don't care to. But she's just not smart enough to be on that level. How she became a United States Senator is a mystery to me. Maybe she was a good lawyer, a good prosecutor. I don't know. But that example that I just shared with you, that's why Kamala Harris lost.
For
full shows live and on demand. It's Salem News Channel.